Captain Torres looked out at the black sky from the observation window of the horizon. The ship floated in empty space, far from any star or planet. The screen in front of her showed a weak signal blinking on and off. A distress call. Someone was in trouble out here. The signal came from a Aura ship. Knew about the Aura. They were insects. Big insects with hard shells and many legs. They came from a planet very far away and they were known as fighters. The Galactic Council said humans and Aura were not friends. They said humans were too young to be trusted. The Aura did not like humans. They thought humans were weak. Did not care what the Council said. She knew a distress call meant danger. She knew that danger meant someone needed help. That was enough for her. "All stop," she told her crew. "Get me all the information you can about that signal." Doctor came to the window. He was the medical officer on the ship. He was tall and thin and he wore a blue uniform. He looked at the signal and then looked at. "Captain, that is a Aura ship. We should contact the nearest council station and let them handle it." Turned to him. "How long will that take?" 6 hours, maybe more." "How long until the Aura ship loses power?" Looked at his computer. He was quiet for a moment. 2 hours, maybe less. Nodded. She knew what she had to do. She told the crew to move closer to the signal. As the horizon got closer, they could see the ship. It was not big. It looked like an insect itself, with a hard body and sharp points all over it. There was fire on one side. Part of the ship was broken and black from heat. "We have a visual on the vessel," said Lieutenant Park from his station. "There is damage to their starboard side. Their engine section is on fire." "Can they move?" asked. "No, Captain, they are dead in space." Opened a communication channel. She sent a message in the Aura language. She did not speak it well, but she tried. "This is Captain Torres of the human vessel Horizon. We are here to help. Do you need medical aid?" There was a long silence. Waited. Sometimes it took time for radio signals to travel. Sometimes people were afraid to answer. She understood this. Then a voice came back. It was hard and sharp, like the sound of metal breaking. "Human vessel, we do not require your help. We will handle this matter alone." Did not smile, but she kept her voice calm. "Your ship is damaged. Your engine is on fire. Let us help. We have medical equipment. We have tools. We can help you survive." Another silence, longer this time. "We are sending an escape pod," the voice said. "Take it if you wish, but know this, we owe you nothing. The Aura do not forget help they do not ask for. It makes us owe debt." Did not understand everything they said, but she heard the word escape pod. That meant they were leaving their ship. That meant people were in danger. "Bring them in," she told. The crew worked fast. They used the ship's systems to catch the escape pod. It was small and made of metal that looked like bug armor. When they opened it, they found 3 Aura inside. They were hurt. One had a long cut on its body that was bleeding dark green. Another had damage to its leg. The third was smaller than the others. Much smaller. "That is a juvenile," said. He said it like he was seeing something that should not be there. "A cub. The Aura do not usually bring their young into space." The young one was maybe 3 feet long. The adults were almost 9 feet. The cub looked scared. It made clicking sounds that were fast and high-pitched. Its shell was cracked in several places. "Get them to medical," told her crew. "Treat all injuries, use everything we have." Hesitated. "Captain, treating alien life forms, especially Aura, it could cause problems if they report us to the council." "They are alive and hurt," said. "That is all that matters right now." The crew moved the Aura to the medical bay. They worked carefully because the Aura were strange and different. They did not have skin like humans. They had shells that needed different medicine. They needed different temperature controls, but the crew did everything they could. The 2 adult Aura were stable after a few hours. Their wounds were serious but not deadly. They sat in the medical beds and watched the humans work around them. They said nothing. Their black eyes watched everything. The young one was different. It would not stop clicking and making noise. It moved around the small space they gave it. It tried to bite at the equipment. It tried to attack the nurses when they came close. "It is scared," said, watching from the door. "It does not understand what is happening." "We should sedate it," said. "It could hurt itself or hurt us." Watch the cub. It was small and confused and alone. It did not know these tall, soft creatures who were trying to help it. All it knew was fear. "No sedation," said. "Just watch it, keep it safe. Someone will sit with it, someone with a calm voice and kind hands." looked at her like she was making a mistake, but he did not argue. That night went to the communication room. She sent a message to the Aura ship. They still had some power. They were still alive. "This is Captain Tors. Your crew is safe. Your juvenile is safe. We are fixing your ship now. We can have it ready in 2 days. We will return you to Aura space. You will be home." The Aura captain responded after a long time. "Why do you do this? We are not your people. The council says we are enemies." Thought about this, she thought about the cub clicking in fear. She thought about the fact that distance did not matter. Pain was pain. Fear was fear. A child needed help whether it had a human face or an insect face. "Because it is right," she said simply. "That is why." In the medical bay, the young Aura cub still clicked and moved in its small space. It did not know that help the third day on the horizon was quiet for the adult Aura. They lay in their medical beds and healed. Their wounds were closing. The medicine worked. They watched the humans move around them with black eyes that gave nothing away. They did not speak much. They did not ask questions. They simply waited for their ship to be ready. The cub, however, was not quiet. It moved constantly in its space. It made noise all day and all night. Click, 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 high sounds and low sounds, sometimes angry, sometimes scared. The sounds never stopped. On the first day with the cub, the nurses tried to approach it with food and water. The juvenile bit at them. It did not want help. It wanted to be left alone. It wanted its mother. It wanted its home. Decided to try something different. She chose Nurse Lisa Hart for the job. Lisa was young. She was maybe 30 years old. She had worked on the horizon for 3 years. She was good with scared people. She was patient and kind, but she was also strong. She did not get upset easily. Took Lisa to the medical bay where the cub was kept. "I want you to spend time with this juvenile," said. "Do not try to touch it. Do not try to give it medicine. Just sit with it. Talk to it. Let it get used to you." Lisa looked at the small insect creature. It was only 3 feet long, but it had sharp teeth and hard claws. It looked dangerous, even though it was just a baby. "What do I talk to it about?" asked Lisa. "Anything," said. "Stories, things about Earth, things about space. Your voice matters more than the words." Lisa nodded. She was not sure about this plan, but she trusted. The first time Lisa sat down near the cub, the juvenile ran to the corner. It made angry clicking sounds and tried to bite at the air between them. Lisa just sat there. She did not move. She did not react. After 3 hours, Lisa left. The second day, Lisa came back. The cub watched her from the corner. She brought a translation device. She read from it. She read simple children's stories from Earth. She read about a boy who met a dragon and learned that the dragon was not mean, just scared. The cub listened. It did not come closer, but it did not bite at the air. By the 4th day, something changed. Lisa was sitting in her usual spot, reading about a girl who made friends with a wolf that everyone said was dangerous. The cub was quiet. Lisa kept reading. Her voice was calm and soft, but not weak. It was the voice of someone who knew things, someone who had lived long enough to understand fear. The cub clicked once, a low sound, not angry. Lisa stopped reading and waited. The cub took one small step forward. Lisa did not move. She kept looking at her translation device like she was reading, but she was watching the cub from the corner of her eye. Another step, then another. The cub came all the way to Lisa. It sniffed the air. Its antenna moved. It was checking. It was deciding if this human was a threat. Lisa finished reading the story. She closed her device. The cub sat down next to her. After that day, things changed fast. The cub would come to Lisa when she arrived for her shift. It would sit next to her while she read or worked. Sometimes it made quiet clicking sounds like it was talking back to her. Lisa brought food, special food that humans could not eat but that Aura cubs needed. The juvenile would eat from her hand. At first it was nervous, then it became normal. Lisa brought other things too. Small toys that humans used for children, balls and shapes and things that made noise. The cub played with them. It bounced them around. It seemed to forget for a while that it was scared and alone. The adult Aura watched this through the window. They said nothing, but their black eyes tracked every moment. On the 5th day, the captain of the Aura ship sent a message. His name was Trader Aura. He was the oldest and the strongest. He sent the message directly to: "We observe that your nurse cares for our juvenile. This is unusual. Among our people, nursing duties are done by the family only. We do not understand why a human would do this." Typed her response. Because the cub is hurt and scared. Because we can help. Because that is what any good person does for any young creature that needs help. There was a long pause, then Trader Ara responded. This complicates things. A life saved creates debt. Among the Ara, debt is serious. It must be repaid. Wrote back, we do not want payment. We want only to help. There is no debt between us. But she knew this was not how the Ara thought. She knew that by helping them, she had created something more complex than a simple rescue. On the 7th day, the Ara ship was ready to fly. The repairs were complete. The engines worked. The ship could leave whenever they wanted. Lisa sat with the cub one last time before it would have to go back to its people. She read a story about goodbyes, about how some people meet for a short time but change each other forever, about how distance does not matter when you have shared something real. The cub made clicking sounds. Lisa thought it sounded sad. You will be okay, Lisa told it, even though she knew the cub probably could not understand her words clearly. But maybe it could understand the meaning. Your people are waiting for you. Your mother is waiting for you. You are strong enough to go home now. The cub pressed its head against Lisa's chest. It was a gesture that meant something. Lisa was not sure what, but it felt important. It felt like trust. That night stood with Lisa at the window. Both of them watched the Ara ship. It was whole now. It was ready. They will leave tomorrow, said. Yes, said Lisa. The cub will forget about me. It will grow up among its own people. It will probably become like them, hard and cold. Maybe, said, or maybe it will remember that someone took care of it when it was scared. The Ara ship was ready to leave. Captain Trader Ara stood in the communication room of his vessel and typed a message too. The repairs were done. The engines were good. They could fly now. They could go home. But he wanted to say something first, something that his people did not usually say to humans. Captain Tors, your crew has saved us. This is not forgotten. The Ara remember. When we reach our home, we will tell our council what humans have done. We will tell them about the nurse who cared for our young. We will tell them about the captain who did not calculate cost. You will hear from us again. Read the message twice. She was not sure if this was a promise or a warning. With the Ara, it could be both. She responded, you are welcome. Safe journey home, Captain Ara. In the medical bay, Lisa Hart prepared to say goodbye to the cub. She gave it one more meal. She read one more story. She let the young insect press its head against her chest one more time. Then she helped carry it to the transport pod that would take it back to its people. The adult Ara were already in the pod. They looked better now. They were healed. They were strong again. They looked at Lisa with eyes that showed nothing, but she thought she saw something in them. Recognition maybe, or thanks. Lisa pressed a button. The transport pod sealed. It separated from the horizon. It moved through space toward the Ara ship. Stood next to Lisa at the observation window. They watched the pod dock with the Ara vessel. They watched the ship's engines power up. It is done, said Lisa quietly. Yes, said it is done. The Ara ship began to move, slowly at first, then faster. It turned away from the horizon. It pointed toward the stars where it came from. In a few seconds, it would jump to hyperspace. In a few seconds, it would be gone forever. Then the alarm sounded. Park was shouting from his station. Captain, we have 3 contacts emerging from subspace. They are weapons hot. They are charging weapons now. What are they? Was already moving to the command center. Vessels, said, his voice was tight. 3 capital ships, they are moving fast. Felt her stomach go cold. There were raiders. They were killers. They did not follow the laws of the Galactic Council. They took what they wanted and destroyed what they could not take. And they were here. On the communication system, the Ara captain's voice came through, hard and urgent. Captain Tors, those are the ships that attacked us. They tracked us. They will finish what they started. You must leave. Now, take your ship and go. You have no obligation to us anymore. Did not even think about it. Lieutenant Park, get me everything you have on those ships. How much firepower? How fast are they? Captain, you cannot fight 3 capital ships, said. He was in the command center now. We will lose. We will all die. How long until the Ara ship is ready to jump? Asked. Checked his computer. 12 minutes, maybe more. Can we buy them time? Not against those odds. Looked at the screen. She could see the 3 ships coming in fast. She could see the Ara ship still here, engines warming up. She could see the choice in front of her. She could run, she could leave the Ara to die. That was the smart choice. That was the choice the council would make. That was the choice that made sense. "Send a message to all crew," she said. "All hands to battle stations, raise shields to maximum." "Captain, no," said. "Do it," said. The horizon moved. It slipped into a position between the fleet and the Aura ship. The three enemy vessels were still far away, but they were getting closer every second. "They are firing," said. Green and red light shot across space, bolts of energy that could cut through steel and bone. The horizon's shields caught the first volley. The whole ship shook. Red lights began to flash across the panels. "Shields holding," reported. "But we are taking damage, hull integrity at 97%. Guided the ship like she was dancing. She moved left. She moved right. She turned and twisted through the incoming fire. Some shots got through. The ship jumped and shook. Crew members held on to their stations. "Shields at 80%, said. The Aura ship was still warming up its engines. It was not ready yet. It would not be ready for several more minutes. Fired back, the Horizon had weapons, not as powerful as the ships, but she knew how to use them. She knew how to aim. She knew how to hit what mattered. She managed to damage one of the vessels, not much, but enough to make them pay attention to her instead of the Aura. In the medical bay below the command center, Lisa Hart was with the young Aura. The cub was in the transport pod, waiting to be sent back to its people. But the pod had not left yet. Something was wrong. There was shaking. There was noise. The cub made frightened clicking sounds. Its instincts were screaming at it. It wanted to bite. It wanted to fight. That was what Aura did when they were in danger. They fought. Lisa put her hand on the cub's head. "Do not bite," she said, her voice calm even though the ship was being attacked all around her. "Just sit with me, just stay still." The cub looked at her. Its black eyes were wide with fear. Every part of it wanted to move. Every part of it wanted to strike. But it did not. It sat down next to Lisa. And it stayed there. On the bridge was running out of options. There were too many. They were too strong. The Horizon was taking too much damage. "Shields at 40%, said. "How long?" asked. "The Aura, they are ready now, they can jump." But did not order them to go. She held the line. She kept the Horizon between thee and the Aura ship. She gave them one more second, then another. Then the Aura captain sent a message. "Captain Torres, the young one, the juvenile, is it safe?" Did not have time to answer. But Lisa Hart heard the question through the medical bay communication system. She looked at the cub. It was still sitting next to her. Still calm, still not biting even though it wanted to. Yes, she thought, yes, it is safe. The Aura ship's engines fired. The vessel jumped to hyperspace. It disappeared in a flash of light. It was gone. Allowed herself one moment of relief. Then they intensified their fire. They were angry now. Their prey had escaped. They were going to take their anger out on the Horizon. But what they did not know was that Torres was not alone anymore. They did not know that T-Captain Torres watched the Aura signatures appear on her screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, more kept coming. They were pouring out of hyperspace like a swarm of insects, because that is what they were, and now they were here and they were angry. The commander did not know what was happening. His ships had been winning. They had the Horizon in trouble. They had shields failing and hull damage spreading, and then suddenly the space around him was filled with Aura vessels. "What is happening?" he sent through the communication system. "Why are you defending this human ship?" Trader Aura's response came back hard and fast. "These humans saved our crew. They saved our young. The humans did not run when we told them to. They did not abandon us. They stood and fought. The Aura do not forget this. The Aura do not forgive those who threaten what they have protected." Heard this message. She was shocked. She had not expected this. The Aura were fierce warriors, but they fought for profit usually. They fought for territory. They fought for power. They did not fight because someone had been kind. But apparently they did. On the screen, the vessels tried to organize a new formation. They tried to run. They tried to turn and fight, but they were outnumbered now. They were facing 3 Aura warships for every vessel. They were losing. Laser fire lit up the space. Red and green bolts crossed back and forth. The Aura ships were bigger and stronger than the Horizon. They were built for war. They had weapons that could cut through anything. The first ship took damage. Its shields cracked. Its engines failed. It tried to run but could not move fast enough. A Aura warship moved in and finished it. The second and third vessels tried to fight together. They aimed all their weapons at the nearest Aura ship. They scored hits. Aura shields flashed and cracked, but aura shields were strong, and the aura had been fighting in space for 1,000 years. They knew how to hit back. They knew how to win. The battle was short and brutal. Within minutes, all 3 ships were destroyed. They did not surrender. They did not ask for mercy. They simply fought until they could not fight anymore. Then they were gone. Sat in her command chair and took a breath. She had thought the Horizon would die today. She had thought her crew would die. She had thought she would pay the price for her decision to help the Aura. Instead, they had been saved. Trader Aura sent another message. Captain Tors, you held the line. You protected our young even though you were losing, even though you could have run. That is not what humans do, we were told. We were told humans care only for themselves, but you proved the council wrong. Responded, I did what was right, nothing more. There was a pause, then, that is exactly what a true warrior does. In the medical bay, Lisa Hart was still sitting with the young Aura cub. The ship had stopped shaking. The alarms had stopped. The sounds of battle had gone away. The cub was still sitting next to her, still calm, still not biting even though everything inside it had wanted to. A nurse came to the door. Nurse Hart, the battle is over. We won. We survived. Lisa nodded. She looked at the cub. It looked back at her with black eyes that seemed to understand. Somehow this small insect creature understood that Lisa had told it to sit still, that Lisa had told it not to bite, and it had obeyed, even though every natural instinct told it to fight, even though fear was telling it to attack. It had trusted Lisa instead. You are brave, Lisa told the cub. You sat still and trusted me. That was brave. That was stronger than biting would have been. The cub made a low clicking sound. It was gentle and quiet. It did not sound angry or scared anymore. Over the next hours, the damage to the Horizon was assessed. The ship had taken serious hits. Hull breaches in 3 sections. The shields were burned out and would need total replacement. Some crew members were injured, but no one was dead. That was more luck than had expected. The Aura ships moved in close. They sent repair teams. Humans and Aura worked together to patch the damage. Some humans were nervous about working next to creatures with hard shells and sharp teeth. But the Aura were professional. They were focused on the job. They did the work efficiently and without problem. One thing became clear as they worked. The Aura were not natural allies of humans. They were not friends in the way that some species were. But they were beings who understood honor. They were beings who understood that a debt had to be paid. And they understood that the humans on the Horizon had proven themselves worthy of respect. Trader Aura asked to speak with face-to-face, not through communication, in person, so put on her space suit and traveled to the Aura flagship. The moment she stepped inside the ship, she knew she was in a place of war. Every wall had weapons. Every corner had soldiers standing guard. The Aura were not soft creatures that lived in peace. They were hard beings that lived for battle. Trader Aura was in his command center. He was bigger than the other Aura. His shell was and cracked in many places. Each scar told a story of a battle he had survived. He was old by Aura standards. He had lived through decades of warfare. He stood when entered. It was a gesture of respect. Captain Tors, he said. His translator turned his hard clicks into words. You risked everything for us. You could have run. You chose to stand. Why? Did not have a complicated answer. Because it was right. Because your young needed protection. Because that is what any good captain does, protect the vulnerable. Trader Aura was quiet for a long moment. Then he made a sound that might have been laughter, or might have been something else. The Galactic Council says humans are primitive. They say humans are weak. They say humans do not think like advanced species. They say your minds are clouded by emotion. He paused. I think the Council is wrong. I think humans see things we have forgotten how to see. I think you understand something we lost 1,000 years ago when we became warriors. What is that? Asked. What it means to choose to protect. Not because you must, not because it benefits you, but because a young thing is hurt and cannot protect itself. That is not weakness. That is the strongest thing a being can do. Did not know what to say to that. Trader Aura continued. I am sending a message to the Aura Council. I am telling them what happened here. I am telling them about the human captain who held the line. I am telling them about the human nurse who taught our young that there is strength in trust. The Council needs to know. The Council needs to understand. And I think, Captain Tors, that everything is about to change. He was right. He just did not know how right he was yet. Because in a few weeks, the Aura would make a formal petition to the Galactic Council. They would demand that humans be recognized as equals in standing. They would demand that humans be treated with respect. And they would tell the story of the Horizon and its crew to every species in the galaxy. Some would dismiss it as just one incident, just one ship being kind to another. But others would listen. Others would begin to understand. Other species would begin to see humans differently. And it would all start with one captain who decided to help a damaged ship, one nurse who decided to care for a frightened cub, and one small insect creature that learned how to sit still instead of bite. That learned how to trust. Weeks passed, the repairs on the Horizon were complete. The ship was whole again. It was ready to fly and explore and do the work it was built to do. But before it could chart a new course, word came from the Galactic Council. They wanted to see her. They wanted to talk about what had happened between the Horizon and the Aura. The meeting took place on a station that orbited a neutral planet. Representatives from every major species in the galaxy were there. Humans, Aura, though they were not welcome after what they had done, traders and diplomats and ancient beings who had been alive for thousands of years. Trader Aura stood up first. He told the whole story. He told about the damaged ship and the crew that needed help. He told about the human nurse who cared for a young creature that was not even her own species. He told about the captain who held the line against 3 warships so that an escape route could be opened. He told about kindness in a galaxy that was used to violence. And then he did something no one expected. He brought out the young Aura cub. It had grown bigger in the weeks since it left the Horizon, but not by much. It was still young, still small compared to adults. It looked at the assembly of strange creatures with eyes that showed no fear. This young Aura had learned something important on the human ship. It had learned that sometimes the scariest-looking place could be safe. Sometimes a threat could become a friend. Trader Aura spoke about what this juvenile had learned. He spoke about the human who told it not to bite, about the choice that the young Aura made to trust instead of fight. "We are a species of warriors," said Trader Aura. "We are a species of action and aggression. We have survived because we bite and fight and do not show weakness." But this young one learned something else. It learned that sometimes the strongest choice is to sit still, to trust, to believe that someone who is different can still be safe. The human who taught my young one this is named Lisa Hart, and I think every being in this council should know her name. Sat in the human section. Lisa was next to her. Lisa's face was red. She was not used to being famous. She was just a nurse. She had just done what seemed right. But the council listened, and something shifted in how they thought. A representative from the traders stood up. "The Aura are requesting that the Galactic Council change its stance on human recognition. They are requesting full diplomatic status, full equality in all matters." "This is unusual," said another representative. "Humans have only been in space for 40 years. They have not earned such status." "They earned it," said Trader Aura quietly. "They earned it by showing us what we forgot. They earned it by caring more about doing what is right than about calculating profit." The vote was held. Some species opposed it, but more species supported it. Some had heard about what humans had done in other situations. Some believed that a species that showed such kindness was worth having as an equal. The vote passed. Humans were recognized by the Galactic Council as a species worthy of full diplomatic and trade status. It started with helping one injured ship. It started with a nurse caring for one scared cub. It started with a captain holding a line. But it ended with humanity taking its place among the stars as equals, not as a young species to be ignored, but as beings worthy of respect. 3 months later, the Horizon received a visitor. The young Aura cub arrived with a message from Trader Aura. The message said that the cub was being sent to spend time on human space, to learn about humans better, to understand the species that had saved its life. Lisa Hart was the one who met it at the docking bay. The moment the cub saw her, it made a clicking sound of recognition. It was happy to see her. It moved fast across the bay and pressed its head against her chest, just like it had before. "Hello," said Lisa, smiling. "I thought you had forgotten about me." The cub made a series of clicking sounds. The translator turned them into words. "Does not forget, will never forget. Human gave me life. Human taught me to trust. Human made me brave." Lisa put her arms around the cub. In the months they had been apart, she had wondered about it. She had thought about that small creature sitting beside her while the ship was under attack. She had remembered the clicking sounds it made. She had wondered if it would grow up to be hard and cold like other Aura. She had worried that her kindness had been forgotten. But it had not been forgotten. "You were already brave," said Lisa. "I just helped you see it." Captain Torres stood at the observation window, watching Lisa and the cub reunite. Doctor came to stand beside her. "You were right," said, "about all of it, about helping them, about taking the risk, about believing that kindness matters more than strategy." "I was just a captain trying to do the right thing," said. "I did not think it would change everything." "It did not change everything," said. "It just changed the first thing, the rest follows from that." Over the next weeks more happened. The Aura and humans began to form official trade agreements. They began to share military information. They began to plan joint exploration missions. The species that were taught to be enemies became something else. Not friends exactly, but something more honest. Allies, partners, species that could respect each other. And at the center of all this change was one young Aura, one creature that had learned to trust a human. One creature whose choice to sit still instead of bite had sent ripples across the whole galaxy. Lisa Hart was offered a promotion. She could go back to Earth. She could take an important position in the human government. She could become famous. But she refused. She asked to stay on the horizon. She asked to keep working as a nurse. She asked to continue caring for the sick and injured and scared, whether they were human or Aura or any other species. "You could do so much more," told her. "I am doing what I want to do," said Lisa. "I am helping people who are hurt. I am showing beings that different species can care about each other. That is enough for me." The Aura cub stayed on the horizon for the next month. It learned about human ways. It learned about human food and human music and human stories. It watched how humans lived and worked and loved. It saw that humans were not so different from Aura in the ways that mattered. The day it left to go back to Aura space, it spent the whole time with Lisa. They sat together in the medical bay where they had first met. They did not need to talk much. They had said everything that needed to be said. When it was time to go, the cub did something that Lisa would never forget. It made a series of clicks and chirps and sounds that took a long time. When it was finished, it pressed its head against her chest one more time. The translator had turned the sounds into words. The message was simple. "You taught the cub that strength is not in teeth and claws. You taught the cub that the strongest choice is to sit still and trust. You taught the cub that a being different from me could love me like family. You gave me more than life. You gave me wisdom. The cub will carry this always, will pass it to others. Will never forget the human named Lisa Hart who told me not to bite." Lisa watched the transport pod leave. She watched it connect to the Aura vessel. She watched the ship jump to hyperspace and disappear. Then she went back to the medical bay. There was work to do. There were still people to help. There were still beings hurt and scared and needing care. And now, because of one nurse and one scared cub and one captain who held a line, there might be others. Other species watching. Other creatures learning that kindness was worth more than fear. That trust was worth more than teeth and claws. That sometimes the strongest thing you could do was sit still and believe that someone different could be safe. Torres received a commendation from the Galactic Council. So did Lisa Hart. So did every member of the Horizon crew. They were listed in official records as the humans who changed the direction of galactic history. But knew the truth. It was not a captain or a ship. It was not a strategy or a calculated move. It was one moment. One nurse reading a story to a scared cub. One decision to show kindness to someone who was different. One choice to trust when everything in her said to be afraid. That was all it took to change everything. And somewhere in Aura space, a young insect creature was growing up. It would live longer than humans lived. It would see things humans would never see. It would travel places humans had never been. But it would remember. It would remember sitting beside a human in the dark. It would remember being afraid and having someone tell it not to bite. It would remember learning that the strongest choice was to sit still and trust. And when that young Aura became old, when it had fought its battles and seen its wars, it would tell the story to others. It would say that once it met a human, that the human showed it something the Aura had forgotten. That kindness was not weakness. That trust was not cowardice. That sometimes the most powerful weapon in the entire galaxy was just the choice to sit still and believe that someone different could love you like family. And that single choice changed everything. That learned what it meant when a human said, "Do not bite." And in that choice to obey, that choice to trust, changed the course of history. Hiara had not left at all. They did not know that Trader Ara had sent a signal the moment he jumped away. A signal that said, "These humans protected us. These humans saved our young. Come, help us repay this debt." They would find out very soon. And on the bridge of the horizon, Captain Torres smiled as she saw new signatures appearing on her scanner. Multiple Ara vessels emerging from hyperspace, weapons ready. The real battle was about to begin. It will be different because of that. Maybe it will understand that kindness is strength, not weakness. Lisa wanted to believe this. She looked at the cub one more time through the medical bay window. It was sleeping, curled up in a small ball. Tomorrow it would go home. Tomorrow the horizon would go back to its route through space. Tomorrow everything would be different. But for tonight, at least, the cub was safe. And Lisa Hart had helped save a life. And that meant something, no matter what the Galactic Council said about humans and Ara being enemies. That meant everything was coming. It did not know that humans were fixing its home. All it knew was that it was scared and hurt and very far from everyone and everything it had ever known. And it did not know that its life was about to change in ways no one could have predicted.